Hey, what's up everybody? Josh here from Geeks Podcast, and today we're taking a look at the 32-inch Pro Upright Extension Arcade Machine from RecRoomMasters. Now, if you've watched our other videos, you know this is not our first time with this machine. We actually did kind of a fun montage video where we built this the first time, and then we actually did a full review of that unit as well. Both of those videos you can find either on our YouTube channel or on the RecRoomMasters website. But today is special because we're going to show you the entire process of building this unit step by step by step. So at the end of the day, you should have a fully functioning cabinet that if you want to load it up with an Xbox 360 or a PS3 or a main machine, you'll be able to do exactly that. So Kyle and Lucas are going to help us out, and we're going to show you the process just one piece at a time. So let's go ahead and get started. Before beginning construction on the base section, you'll first want to make sure that you have all of the parts laid out and that you know where everything is. Here's an overview of all of the parts that you'll be putting together to build the base section. And here's a look at the hardware that you'll use to construct this section. The hardware includes one M4 Allen wrench, 25 black 60mm bolts, 24 cross-dowel bolt connectors, 2 silver pivot pins, 8 5/8" pivot speaker grill screws, 1 desk grommet, 2 magnetic door catches for the keyboard door, with 4 screws for each, totaling 8 screws, and 2 door glides that you'll use for the keyboard tray. Please note before beginning that 2 people are required for construction, as one person will need to support the parts until the base is securely bolted. Now that we've got all of our parts laid out, let's get started. Step 1. For this step, you'll want to refer to your Extension Arcade Base section part description page on page 2. You'll need parts 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 11. You'll also need 24 cross-dowel bolt connectors. For all of the parts listed, insert cross-dowel bolt connectors into the pre-drilled holes. Make sure the slots of the bolt connectors are aligned toward the direction of the pre-drilled side holes. Once in place, firmly press down so each bolt connector is flush with the plane. It's important to make sure that these are facing the correct way because they are extremely difficult to remove if you put them in backwards. Step 2. For this step, you will need part 1, the left side base upright, and part 11, the right side base upright. And finally, the 2 door glide pins. Lightly hammer the door glide pins into both the left and right uprights as shown. Step 3. For this step, you will need part number 1, the left side base upright, and part number 2, the front. Lay the left side base upright flat on the floor with holes facing up, and peg part number 2, the front, into place as shown. Make sure that the 4 cross-dowel holes are facing the inside of the cabinet. Step 4. For this step, you will need part number 3, the base floor. Peg part number 3, the base floor, into part number 1, the left base upright, as shown. Make sure the finished side of part number 3, the base floor, is facing the front of the cabinet, aligning with the door frame. Please note, you will require a second person to hold the parts in place. Step 5. For step 5, you will need part number 4, the back middle support, and part number 5, the back bottom support. Peg part number 4, the back middle support, and part number 5, the back bottom support, into part number 1, the left base upright, as shown. Step 6. For step 6, you will need part number 7, the top, and part number 6, the center base support. Peg part 6, the center base support, and part number 7, the top, into place. Please make sure the cross-dowel holes on part number 7, the top, are facing down. Step 7. For step number 7, you will need 2 silver pivot pins, part number 8, the keyboard door, the 2 magnetic catches and 8 magnetic catch screws, part number 1, the right side base upright, and part number 11, the left side base upright. You'll also need part number 9, the front top support. First, Separate the silver striker from each magnetic catch. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, attach to part 1 the right side base upright, and part number 11 the left side base upright, using the magnetic catch screws. Next, insert one of the silver pivot pins into the pre-drilled hole of part number 1, the right side base upright. Using 2 screws, screw both removed silver strikers from the magnetic catch into place on part number 8, the keyboard door, using the pre-drilled holes for alignment. Make sure you have the flat side of the striker plate pointed down towards the door and that the screw goes through the indented side to keep it flush. Place part number 8, the keyboard door, on top of the silver pivot pin and insert the other silver pivot pin into the top pre-drilled hole on part number 8, with the metal striker facing inward. Place part 9, the front top support, in between part number 8, the keyboard door, and part number 2, the front. Step 8. For step 8, you will need part number 10, the keyboard tray. Insert part number 10, the keyboard tray, into the provided slots below the controller support. Be sure the wooden lip is facing toward the bottom section of the unit. Step 9. For step 9, you'll need part number 11, the right side base upright. Take part number 11, the right side base upright, and carefully lay it on top of the assembled unit as shown. Align all pegs and pins and maneuver the keyboard tray into the grooves on the inside of part number 11, the left side base upright. Secure into place by applying slight pressure until pegged into place and the upright is flush with all parts. Step 10. For this step, you will need 10 60mm bolts. Using the 10 60mm bolts, insert them into the holes on the uprights and tighten using the provided M4 Allen wrench. Do not over-tighten your bolts. This is especially important if you have any kind of custom graphics that have been pre-applied, as over-tightening the bolts can damage the graphics. Step 11. Very carefully rotate your partially assembled base section 90 degrees to its upright position by holding both sides for support. It's very important to apply support and pressure on the unbolted side as there are no bolts to secure in place while rotating. Step 12. For step 12, you'll need 10 more 60mm bolts. Using 10 60mm bolts, insert them into the holes on the uprights on the opposite side and tighten using the provided M4 Allen wrench. And again, don't over-tighten your bolts. Congratulations, at this point you're halfway done having fully assembled the base section. Take a quick break and then get ready to start building the top section. Alright, ready to build that top section? Let's get started. First, you'll want to make sure that you have all of the parts laid out so that you know where everything is before you begin construction on the extension arcade cabinet top. For that, you'll want to refer to the extension arcade cabinet top part description list on page 9. For the top section, you'll need 13 black 60mm bolts, 2 50mm small head bolts, 15 cross dowel bolt connectors, 2 monitor bezel support clips. Depending on the type of monitor you opt to use with your extension arcade cabinet, you will use either the M6 40mm bolts, M4 35mm bolts, or M4 40mm bolts. Although rare, some monitors do require M8 mounting bolts. If that's the case with your monitor, you may need to purchase these separately at your local hardware store. 4 washers, and finally 4 spacers. The cabinet fits most 32-inch standard VESA mount flat screen monitors, measuring no wider than 31 inches. Step 1. For step 1, you will need parts 1, 4, 6, 7, 10, 13, and 12 cross-dowel bolt connectors. Make sure the slots of the bolt connectors are aligned toward the direction of the pre-drilled side holes. Once in place, firmly press down so each bolt connector head is flush with the plane. Step 2. For step 2, you will need part 1, the right side top upright, and part number 2, the back top support. Line up part number 2, the back top support, and peg into place as shown. Step 3. For step number 3, you will need part number 3, the back light block support, and also part number 12, the light itself. Using a Phillips head power drill, attach your fluorescent light to part number 3 as shown. Alternatively, you can also screw the plastic directly to the board after you've removed the bulb. It is recommended to leave the switch in the on position and to turn it off after the cabinet is assembled by plugging and unplugging the power cord. It's also worth noting if you'd like to brighten the exposure on the marquee, you can remove the bulb cover entirely. Step 4. For step 4, you will need part number 3, the backlight block support. Peg part number 3, the backlight block support, into the upright. Step 5. For step 5, you will need part number 4, the speaker ports, part number 11, the speaker grille covers, and 8 speaker screws. You can now attach the speaker grills to part number 4, the speaker ports, using the 8 speaker screws. Now peg part number 4, the speaker ports, into the upright as shown. Step 6. For step 6, you will need part number 5, the monitor mount, the 4 washers, 4 spacers, and 4 of the M4 35mm or M4 40mm monitor bolts. It's recommended to use the spacers, and you'll need them to use the M4 40mm monitor bolts. Lay your monitor on a flat surface face down, and using the 4 white nylon spacers, line them up over the top of your monitor's VESA holes as shown. At this point, you should attach your power, HDMI, or any other PC cables before mounting the monitor to the mounting board. Carefully lay part number 16, the monitor mount, on top of the spacers, making sure you line up the holes vertically. Thread the washers into your desired M4 monitor bolts, and then maneuver into place and tighten. Be sure your parallel angles line up equally with the bottom of the monitor mount and the bottom of the monitor itself. The monitor mount is 100% vertically adjustable to ensure your monitor is positioned perfectly. Step 7. For step 7, you'll need part number 5, the monitor mount. Take your monitor that is attached to part number 5, the monitor mount, and carefully peg into place, lining up the tongue and groove section and the 2 pegs to the corresponding holes on the inside of the top upright lying on the floor. Step 8. For step 8, you will need part number 6, the monitor bottom support, and part number 13, the lower back. Peg into place the front and back part, making sure the cross down hole is facing inside and towards the bottom of part number 6, so it can later be attached to the base station. Step 9. For step 9, you will need part number 7, the left side top upright, and 4 60mm bolts. Place part number 7, the left side top upright, on top of the created unit and securely peg into place. Insert the 4 60mm bolts and tighten. Again, be careful not to over tighten, especially if you have any custom graphics. Step 10. For step 10, you need 4 60mm bolts. With 2 people, very carefully rotate your partially assembled top section 90 degrees to its upright position by holding both sides for support. Then the other person can insert 4 60mm bolts on the opposite side while person 1 is stabilizing the assembled parts. Step 11. For step 11, you'll need part number 8, the backlit header marquee, and part number 9, the clear bezel. Locate part number 8, the backlit header marquee, and peel off the plastic protective coating from both sides of each of the 2 plexiglass strips. Sandwich the graphic in between the 2 and slide into the grooves located on the insides of the uprights. Then, remove the plastic protective coating from both sides of the bezel and slide into the grooves through the top. Step 12. For step 12, you will need part number 10, the top, and 4 60mm bolts. Slide part number 10, the top, into the top portion of the unit, making sure that the groove is facing forward and down. Make sure the marquee is lined up and insert the 4 60mm bolts and tighten. Step 13. For step 13, you will need 6 60mm bolts. With 2 people, very carefully lift your top section onto the assembled base section and peg into place. Step 14. For step 14, you'll need 2 50mm short head bolts and 1 60mm bolt. After the top is pegged and resting on the base, it is very important you secure the two parts together. From the inside of the cabinet base, you will need to locate the recessed section and insert and tighten one 50mm short head bolt on each side. Next, using one 60mm bolt from deep inside the cabinet base, locate the small hole that is on part number 7, the top, connected to part number 6, the monitor bottom support of the top section. Tighten securely. Step 15. For step 15, you will need the optional platform, one of 3 available, and 4 60mm bolts. Locate your desired platform or extension arcade controller and peg into place, resting it in its designated area. Now insert 4 60mm bolts into place, securing the desired platform or controller to the cabinet. Tighten with the supplied Allen wrench, but please do not over tighten if using an extension controller. Alright, so that was the step-by-step build process for the 32-inch Pro Upright Extension Arcade Machine from RecRoomMasters. Hopefully you guys got something valuable out of the video, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below, or you can also reach out to RecRoomMasters directly at support@RecRoomMasters.com if you have any questions or any snags or anything like that. Don't forget to subscribe, so we'll have tons more arcade machine videos coming. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Alright, later.